So today we're going to take a look at implementing the detail view associated with the list that is displaying the teams. This is video number 2 in our series, and so we're going to just dig in a little bit deeper into the World Cup application. In video number 1, we showed you how to populate the teams list with JSON data coming from the World Cup API. And now we're going to take a look at the team details. So if we look at the detail view itself, we can see what we've done is done a mapping of the list control columns to a control on the UX component, in this case one named name, logo, website, address, home stadium, matches played, wins, losses, draws, goals for, goals against, and goals diff. So let's go take a look at how that was actually laid out. So here we've got a panel layout that includes 2 panel cards. So this panel card right here is going to display the details, and then we're going to also include a new list in another panel card that's embedded within this panel layout, and this will have the match results for this particular country. So what we've done is we've included all these hidden fields, and these receive the data that comes from the teams list, so that when you tap on a row, this is automatically populated here. And so what we do is I've defined a freeform container because I didn't want just columns. I wanted to arrange the data essentially with an HTML template. So by hiding all the controls and then just embedding the freeform container, I can now just drop in any HTML I want, and I have Alpha's templating engine available. I've got all the placeholders for all of the different data fields, and I can arrange this exactly the way I want. So that's the way we're going to handle the detail view here. Now, if we go back to the teams list and we see what happens on a list event. So when somebody clicks on a row or touches a row, this on-click event is going to fire. So we're going to, number 1, store to a variable the value of the team ID. And then when we're going to call this function get matches, and we're going to pass in the team ID. The team ID comes from the return value. Here we've specified being the ID field, and that's where that parameter is coming from. So let's go look at the JavaScript function that we're calling. So here we're going to say get matches, and here we've got the get matches function. This is just a little bit more complicated than the get teams function because we actually need to make 2 calls. So we need to call the RESTful service from KimonoLabs twice, and I'll explain that in just a sec. So we pass in the team ID, and in our lookup URL here, you can see that we're passing in the home team ID in this URL, and in the one down below we're passing in the away team ID. So apparently there is considered to be a home team and an away team even in a World Cup match. So to get all of the results for any given nation, you need to look at both the home team and the away team and get all of the results. So what we do is we define essentially 2 RESTful calls. When the first one completes, we're going to make the second call. Our first call is to get all of the results for the nation when it was considered the home team. And you'll notice in here the same pattern that I used on get teams. Do a XHR2 call, and in our onload function we parse the data to underbar data, and we make another call. So it's this XHR1 call you'll see, and this will get the away team data. And now we need to combine the 2, because ultimately the 2 are what we're going to populate our list with. So we go ahead and parse that data as data 2, and then we go ahead and now we populate the list control called matches right here with the data. It's the first thing we do. And then the next thing we do is append more data to it coming from the underbar data to object. That populates the full list with all of the JSON that we wanted. Now, we didn't look at the complexity of the JSON that's being returned for the matches list. So let's go take a look at that. Here we have our matches list, and let's go look at the definition of the data source, because it's a little bit different here. This JSON is a little bit more complex. So what we did was defined essentially the full JSON object, and you can see that we've got all of the home scores and all the away scores, and you can see that we've got a home object and an away object that contain these properties. So this is the template that we used in order to pull that off. So it's just a full definition. You'll see that we can define the exact JSON structure that we want right as static choices. So this really makes working with this data really, really easy. Now to go look at this in operation, let's see what we've got. So here we see our teams. When I pick a team, we bring up the detail view, and you'll notice that this is populated with all of the results, whether or not the Netherlands was the home team when it's first or the away team when it was second. Another thing I'd like to point out is how we're handling the Google Map. So on the button for Show Google Map, we'll look at the click event here. And here we're using Action JavaScript. So the first thing we've done is we've got an inline JavaScript. Let's look at what we're doing there. So in this situation, there was a bit of a problem in that the Google Maps API doesn't understand the location called Korea Republic, but it does understand the location of South Korea. So here you can see what I do. Anytime that button is tapped, I take a look and see if the value was the Korea Republic. And if it was, I change it to South Korea. That allows me to do the lookup. Next, we're going to take a look at the Google Map method that we're calling. And this is just pure Action JavaScript. We specify a map ID. The map ID is on one of the panel cards that we're going to transition to. And we go ahead and say to get the location or address from controls on the component. And we've specified the control to read, which is the name, and the name denotes the country. And then we're going to just drop a marker in on that and bring the marker into view. So that's how we do that. And then finally, with panel actions, we go ahead and set the panel card active, and we animate it in. So here we've taken a good look at the detail view. We've looked at how did we populate the HTML template within the detail view. How did we populate the matches and show the results for that given country? And then how did we actually show the Google Map? Now in our next video, we'll take a look at how we're going to handle a display of all of the players and all of the statistics associated with the players, and then into the Flickr API.